Imagine you are dropped onto the Mongolian steppe right now, wearing exactly what you have on. The moment your feet touch the frozen ground, a countdown begins, and it is far shorter than you think. At 55 degrees below zero, your body starts making decisions without asking you. Blood retreats from your fingers and your face to protect the heart and the brain, so your hands go clumsy first, then numb. Your thinking slows and turns foggy, and the cruel part is that the colder you get, the less capable you become of saving yourself. But the thermometer is only telling you half the truth. There is a second temperature out here, an invisible one, because the wind never stops, and it strips the thin layer of warmth off your skin faster than your body can ever replace it. This is the steppe, and it offers you nothing to fight back with. No forests to burn, no stone to build a wall, no mountains to break the storm rolling down from Siberia, just grass, wind, and open sky in every direction. And yet, for centuries, entire families lived through this not by hiding from the winter, but by answering it, because the Gare was never a place you simply crawled into to escape. It was a counterattack. Every single part of it was built to defeat one specific weapon that the winter would use against you. And tonight, the steppe will come for you 5 times. It will strike with the wind, then with the cold, then with a traitor you carry inside your own body, and then with the long dark. 4 of those blows you can at least see coming, but the 5th weapon is the one that kills the people who already survived the other 4, and you will not see it until it is almost too late. The first attack is already here, and it does not kill with cold. It kills with force. It is the wind. The wind is the winter's opening move, and it attacks you 2 ways at once. It hits with raw force, strong enough to knock a person flat, and flatten anything with a rigid, upright wall. And at the same time it keeps peeling the warmth off your body, that invisible second temperature working against you every second you stand exposed. So, how do you build a home that 100-kilometer-an-hour wind cannot tear apart? Here is where the Gare does something that feels almost wrong. Every instinct tells you that to beat a storm you build something hard, heavy, and immovable, a fortress. But out here, the hard thing breaks first. A flat wall stands in the path of the wind and catches its full force like a sail until something finally gives. The Gare refuses that fight entirely. Its walls curve into a perfect circle, so a storm-force wind slides around the outside of the structure instead of slamming into a flat corner. There are no sharp edges for pressure to build against, nothing rigid to snap, and beneath that curve is a skeleton that behaves less like a building and more like a living thing. The walls are expanding wooden lattice, traditionally cut from light willow, and the joints are bound not with iron nails but with rawhide, which stays supple even in brutal cold. That flexibility is the whole secret. In a storm, the walls shift ever so slightly with the wind, spreading the force across the entire frame at once. Engineers today call this dynamic load distribution. At the center, the roof ring, the tonneau, locks the whole thing together through tension and compression alone. No nails, no bolts, no anchors, holding itself up by balancing its own weight. This is a structure that wins by refusing to resist. It does not stand against the wind. It bends, and it survives. So the first weapon fails. But the wind was only clearing the way. The second weapon is quieter. It does not strike the tent at all. It comes for the heat inside your own body. The cold does not attack the way the wind does. It does not push or roar. It drains. Silently, patiently, it pulls the heat out of your body 1 second at a time, and against an enemy like that, walls alone are useless. What you need is a barrier that refuses to let warmth leave, and the Mongolians found it in one of the oldest engineered materials on Earth, felt. Felt is made by pressing and matting sheep's wool into dense, heavy sheets, and wool carries a hidden gift, a natural wax called lanolin that lets the material shed water while still allowing it to breathe, so snow beads on the outside instead of soaking in. But here is the part that feels like a magic trick. The wool itself is not really what keeps you warm. What keeps you alive is the countless microscopic pockets of still trapped air held inside the fibers, because air that cannot move cannot carry your heat away. In other words, these people survived by learning to cage stillness itself. Wrap several thick layers of that trapped stillness around the frame, and the result is almost unbelievable. Outside, the air sits below 55 degrees below zero, while inside, the space climbs to a livable warmth within 30 minutes of lighting the fire. And the defense does not stop at the walls. People slept raised up off the frozen floor because the coldest air always sinks and pools at ground level, and they wrapped themselves in the deal, a thick, double-layered robe bound tight to trap yet another cushion of warm, motionless air against the skin. Layer after layer, the same quiet principle repeats, not strength, but stillness. So the second weapon fails too. The wind could not break you, and the cold could not drain you. But the winter is patient. It waits for night to fall, for the fire to burn low, for your eyes to close, and only then does it send its final two killers, the ones that strike precisely when your guard is down. The third weapon is the cruelest, because you carry it inside you. It is your own breath. Every breath you exhale, every pot of food, every warm body in the room fills the air with moisture, and when that warm, damp air drifts to the freezing edges of the shelter, it condenses and then it freezes, locking ice into the felt walls and quietly destroying the very insulation keeping you alive from the inside out. The warmth that saves you is also the traitor trying to kill you. The Mongolians answered it long before science could explain it. The flap over the roof ring was adjusted through the entire day and night to let just enough moist air escape. The door was faced south to turn its back on the killing winds of Siberia, and smoke from the fire slowly coated the wooden poles in soot, protecting the wood from rot. But keeping that balance requires the one thing the darkness attacks, the fire itself. And this is the fourth weapon, the long dark, with no fuel to hold it back. There are no trees on the steppe, no firewood at all. So they burned the one thing the land gave them, without end-dried animal dung, which smoulders slow and steady, perfect for a sealed space. That fire could never be allowed to die, which meant sleep here was not a single unbroken night. Someone had to wake in the cold and the dark to feed it, again and again, because a dead fire by morning meant a dead family. River ice was melted over that flame for water, and the food kept above it was heavy with fat, because a freezing body burns calories like fuel, and out here calories were fuel. Every animal in the herd fed that system, meat, milk, warmth and flame. And so, somehow, you survive until dawn. 4 weapons, all defeated. So why did people who beat all 4 still die out here? Because there was a 5th weapon, and it never touched the body at all. The 5th weapon does not push, drain or freeze. It is the silence. Out here the white stretches on with no end. No other lights, no other voices. Just wind and snow and the crushing distance in every direction. And that emptiness slowly begins to work on the mind. Weeks of it. Months of it. The isolation wears at something no felt wall can ever protect your will to keep going. This is the one battlefield where the structure cannot save you, because the winter's final trick is not to kill your body, but to make you stop caring whether it lives. And the answer to that weapon is stranger than any wooden ring or any layer of wool. The answer is the work itself. Every single day the same tasks returned like a ritual, clearing the snow before it hardened into ice, hauling and melting river ice for water, making fresh felt, and above all, keeping the fire alive. To an outsider, it looks like endless drudgery. But each small task was an anchor for the mind, a reason to rise, a way to hold the spirit in place when the silence tried to pull it loose. The fire at the center did not only warm the body, it kept a person from drifting away inside. And here, at last, is the truth this whole long night has been circling toward. The Gyr, for all its brilliant, self-locking, wind-bending design, could never save anyone on its own. The most perfect structure ever built does not stay alive by itself. What truly carried these families through the winter was not the tent. It was the endless, unglamorous act of tending it, choosing every single morning to begin again. That, in the end, was humanity's greatest survival technology. Not wood, not wool, not fire, but the will renewed each day. If stories of forgotten survival like this one stay with you, take a moment to subscribe and follow along, and join us next time as we step into another of history's harshest, most human fights to see one more sunrise.